Oh. So my parents grew up on opposite ends of the island of Hispaniola. My father in Haiti and my mother in the Dominican Republic. They both immigrated to the United States and settled in Brooklyn, New York in the 1960s. Now, fate brought them together when my father went to my mother's apartment to teach her roommate English. My father was a school teacher and he also was a true linguist. He spoke French, Haitian Creole, English, and Spanish. And it was the latter of those that helped him to coax my mother and to conquer my mother, as they would say. But in any case, they got married in 1966, and my sisters came along shortly thereafter. Growing up at home, we spoke Spanish to my mother and grandmother, and English to my father. Now, being a typical, I guess, or typical child of immigrants, I made a sensible career choice. I decided to be an accountant. And while I made that decision, also knowing that one day I would decide what I really wanted to be when I grew up, and I would pursue that. That is until 2004 when I got the great accounting job with the sweet 15-minute commute, bonuses, stock options, and the like. And so I coasted along in this role, enjoying it and deciding that, oh, maybe this is what I want to be when I grow up until 2007 when I lost my father unexpectedly to a heart attack. To this day, I think of my life in terms of before he died and after. So his passing left a void on multiple levels. And so while mourning him, my then husband and I started to prepare our home to receive my mother and sister. You see, he had been their caregiver. My mother has Alzheimer's, and my sister had Down syndrome. So we moved them from the Brooklyn house to our house in New Jersey about a week after my father's funeral. And the adjustment was tremendous. And naturally, my focus shifted to their care, and they were the priority, which meant I couldn't work the long hours necessary to meet all my deadlines at the accounting job. So around 2009, HR calls me in to have a conversation, and they basically offered me a financial package for me to sign the documents that say I would leave quietly, not sue them, blah 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 blah. I signed very willingly and gratefully and accepted the package. And having that package gave me a chance to catch my breath and think about what I wanted to do next. So I decided I wanted to do something where I could use my Spanish. So I settled on becoming a Spanish interpreter. And this, in part, was an homage to my father because I thought it was work that he would have loved. So I enroll in school and in a graduate interpreters program, Spanish interpreters program. I go on to complete my master's in bilingual bicultural studies. And in my studies, I read quite a bit of Latin history and quite a bit of Latin literature. And the book that impacted me the most was The Feast of the Goat, written by Mario Vargas Llosa. Now, this book was a work of fiction, but it was based on historical events and actual individuals. And in particular, Trujillo, Rafael Trujillo, who was the dictator in the Dominican Republic. My mother grew up under his regime. Now, my mother never talked too much about her life in the Dominican Republic. She was a woman of few words. She did tell me, though, that every home had to have a picture of Trujillo prominently displayed. And whenever good fortune shined upon you, you had to say, "Thank God," and Trujillo. She also told me that when she decided to leave and had to get her original documents from the Records Bureau, you could only borrow them, make your arrangements, and return them. That day, she rode home in a cab with a gentleman. And he said, "I'm not returning my documents." And she said, "Well, I'm returning mine. I'm going to follow the instructions." She said that she was sure that the cab driver was a spy of sorts. And she was also certain that that man never made it home. He became one of the disappeared. And so, in reading The Feast of the Goat, I got a chance to get another window into what my mother endured, and maybe why she was a woman of few words, because she lived under a regime where saying the wrong thing could cost you your very life. This book allowed me to see what she, at that point, could no longer share with me, as I was losing her and she was losing herself. And I knew then just how strong she was, how courageous a woman she was, and that I was even more proud to have her blood coursing through my veins. Thank you.